being around you guys so much, all you got, even when you win, you're always like, if. It's like, you guys live in if so much.
Oh, no doubt. That's all of gambling, right? IF, right at the top of the iceberg. Big I, big fucking F.
So to me, going in, try and get rid of one of the ifs. Put some money on the fucking chalk in these box scenarios. You're not being a chalk-eating pig. You'll throw balloons on the top, but don't fuck yourself before you begin.
Can you win in life when you're trying to protect your ass? That's really the question that you're asking yourself. See, the Derby is not really about a horse race. It's about life in general. It's about looking in the mirror and asking yourself, what kind of balls do you really have?
The Derby's not a horse.
It's self-assessment time, people. It's coming up on Saturday.
It's about life.
6:30. See what kind of person you really are. Do you have the balls to leave out the chalk?
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
We've been asking this question for a long time, Mike Lubie. Here we are on a Degenerate Friday. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie. Lubit's the Defo Show. Very happy to have you guys with us. The professor will be joining us later on. Professor now very much involved in betting NBA basketball. Very strange.
Well, because I asked him yesterday, I was like, did you really, like, you couldn't think, especially with Hawkins out. He's like, no, he's like, look, I was going to watch it anyways. So he's like, you might as well have had a taste just to make it more interesting.
Just a taste.
He's like, it was like $20. It was like, even by your standards, it was nothing. It was just, fuck it. Yeah, no, he just, there's nothing else on. So he's watching NBA basketball. So he's like, screw it. He probably had to taste last night on I would say the later game. I don't know.
Nobody could have bet the Bucks
early game.
on the money line. If ever there was like ringing death just hanging in the rafters there, it was Game 6, Bucks with nobody. They did get Lillard back last night, but nonetheless, it was blowout city all the way. You know what's interesting? I mean, and let's face it, of the series that have taken place so far, the Philly Knicks series has been the most interesting and drawn the most attention around the country, and for good reason, because there's been not only very close competitive action, whether there was a series of bricks or not, but nonetheless, competitive action, enough good play by great players to be an attention getter also. And then at the same time, and even with the refs trying to screw the Philadelphia 76ers out of the postseason, still very, very compelling action in that series. And that game was the late game, believe it or not, even though you had the Pacers playing in a different time zone. They're what, an hour early?
Yeah.
So if anything, it made sense to have that be the second game, but nobody gave a shit about the Pacers. The only series that is being less respected by the television networks would be the Cleveland-Orlando series, and I would venture to say that nobody's even seen one split second of that series. Where the hell is it?
I don't even have NBA TV. So I haven't
you got Joel Osteen coming on, and right after that, okay, here we go. Really, this is where the NBA game is going to be? You got to be kidding me! What series is it? Oh, Cleveland or Orlando? Nobody gives a fuck about that one. It's amazing. But we asked a question, and that was a nice job. Now, was that an old clip, or is that something we did yesterday? Okay,
that was yesterday. Yeah.
Okay, because that's the magic question.
It'll work, even if we're right or wrong. You guys are hemming and hawing over this. I find it hard to believe. Look, Gurgle said the opposite of what I said, but he still agreed. One of them, it's hard to discount both of them.
Yes, from a trifecta configuration. It's one thing you don't think that either of them are going to win, and you want to place a win wager on somebody that has a price, but and entirely possible, obviously, because favorites they had a period there where they were doing very well.
Yeah.
But that was more the exception than the rule. I want to say, I think in the history of the Derby, it equates out pretty much like the rest of thoroughbred racing, where about a third of the favorites win.
Yeah.
I want to say that's probably true. I thought I saw that somewhere. Where did you see that, Defo? Does it really start to get confusing? I mean, are you finding that, Lubie? Are you confusing things? We're doing a lot of shows.
I'm confused most of
So you can't remember, hey, did I say this on this show? What the hell was I talking about on that show yesterday? I don't remember. Today, actually, this is kind of interesting because the gentleman that I'm doing this other show with there on Riptide Media, which I can't tell you where to find it. I really can't.
I know on Twitter it airs. I just don't know if you can see it later.
It airs like on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I mean, places that you would never think to look for a show. I'm not sure. And it is a video thing, but they're calling it a radio show, which is interesting. I have a meeting with a guy that might be able to clarify some of this shit for me later on today. But
I'm actually confused. I'm not even doing the thing.
well, I was gonna, the purpose of it was to maybe combine it with some of the other things and get a home run, by selling an advertiser the whole package, and they're getting a lot of value for it if you're on like 4 different shows. But nonetheless, I can't tell them I can't write the proposal because I don't know where this thing airs. But I'm not sure, where it's going anyway, because I mentioned to you the gentleman that I'm doing the show with. Well, we canceled the show yesterday because he was having some meeting about this whole job he's got, the Hispanic broadcast. It's a first for him, and I understand a big career stepping stone. So I got to understand the excitement, and I've been in that place. So
it's not a thing. We don't even know what the league is. Like, that's the problem.
They don't even know if they're going to have a game.
That's it. I'm not trying to hate on anyone, but
no, I mean, I love it that the guy's got a shot
we
here.
did a league where the owner of the league was in the booth yelling at us while we were on the air and giving us Wendy's. So I am no one to cast any aspersions.
I've been involved with many fledgling enterprises. No doubt about it.
Like, I wasn't missing work for it. Yeah. we knew what the fuck it was.
No, and it's understandable. Look, and this could be a big shot because let's face it. I mean, did I blow it by taking French? That's the one thing. Mom, I'm sorry. I don't mean to disparage the memory of my mother. She was a sweetheart and a wonderful woman, and it couldn't have been any better for me to grow up with her as my mom and in my life. But nonetheless, I mean, why she forced me to take French as opposed to Spanish? I mean, it was just a tremendous undersight on the part. Is that a word? Undersight?
Yeah, with oversight.
Oversight. I mean. Yeah, I mean, it would have been an oversight on her part, not realizing Spanish was going to become.
I mean, if you grew up with Quebec as a dream of yours, but from what I know, you always had your sights set on either the West Coast or the Southern Florida. So French really is not big in either.
French, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think these Canadians speak any dialect of French that would be comprehensible to anybody that actually had like French lessons. Because I don't know what they're saying, and I know enough, French words to pick up at least pieces of what the guy's talking about. But I don't even know if that's fair to say anymore because it's been so long. Because nobody speaks fucking French. Who the fuck speaks French?
They don't.
The French don't speak French.
They don't.
It's insane. But anyway, so this guy, his name's Angel Martinez, very nice man. I mean, good young guy, very Lubie-esque, except he doesn't have the background and the sporting. I would say wealth of knowledge that you do, Lubie, because you surprise people sometimes, especially when you go old school. Mm-hmm. And you've even surprised me many times, and you'll come up with names that I'm blanking on, which is good. Whereas I don't know that this gentleman has that depth of knowledge of all of these various sports. Now Sarny, who we saw yesterday, looks good, by the way, huh?
Hey, look good. The way you're describing him, and the fact that he literally had a timeshare next to Andy. In the hospital
in Holy Cross.
I didn't know what the hell to expect. I was like, oh shit.
I wasn't expecting that.
Good, you? Man, he looked like himself. I was like, good for him.
He looked great, man. He looked like he was 20 years younger, didn't he?
He looked good. He actually was smiling. I've never really seen him smile before.
I didn't know he had teeth. I swear to God. I was wondering how he ate those cheesesteaks.
He was laughing at your jokes, and usually he's just scowling.
Just usually looks like, what the fuck, man. He was worried I was going to insult Messi if Messi showed up at Wicked Cheesesteaks, which he's a big fan of. Messi comes in there on his own.
It's not about Messi. Your comment isn't wrong.
No, not at all.
People don't watch him. You're not saying people should. Look, again, I said this yesterday to you. I didn't say it on the show, but I was like, they sold out the Pele in exhibitions. It doesn't. Yes. People want to see the greats play. That doesn't change the fact that he's playing in a fucking
playing in a minor league. I mean, how is he averaging 3 goals a game? I mean, he wasn't doing that when he was with Barcelona.
Like, we asked soccer experts, they said MLS isn't even a top 10 league in the world. Okay.
No.
The G League is. The G League probably is as good as any fucking Turkish league.
G League has guys that frequently are up and down with the NBA.
And so why wouldn't your comp of LeBron? LeBron going to G League may be tougher than
Yes, I believe that would be true. Yes. If LeBron was in the G League this year at 39, what would people be saying? And it's a very similar parallel. I mean, you would have to say that the example is good. Sarni refuses to acknowledge it. That Messi playing in the MLS is probably, like you said, Lubie, it's less demanding than it would be for LeBron to navigate his way through the G League.
Look, there's pros in there. There's guys from all over the world in the MLS. MLS has come up. But the fact that soccer people don't even, and again, there's leagues that have been around for, if not hundreds of years. And I'm not slighting. I'm not even trying to slight the MLS that much. But if soccer people are going to say it's not even a top 10, I'm not saying it's Bundesliga, but top 10. I don't even know what are the other 5. Like I know Bundesliga and I know the Spanish leagues and Premier League. But what are the other 5? If it's not in
I don't know. Women's professional league. I'm not sure.
Then why isn't it? Why is the G League so bad? Then?
So that was his big challenge to me, Jim Sarney, was that when Messi walks in the wicked cheesesteaks, which he didn't yesterday, but nonetheless, if he had, he wanted me to go ahead and insult Messi to his face, which I'm not trying to insult Messi.
Oh, you respect Messi?
It's just a straight up observation that I think is more than valid. That he's playing in a minor league. And, Jim, that offends him. He doesn't like it. He said, well, then why are people going to the games? Because they're stupid. 50% of the country's voting for Trump.
I mean, look, people like seeing greatness, whether
sure.
Greatness versus garbage. Like people, look, I mean, the people are going to watch the NBA Finals, even though to me, then the Denver Nuggets are going to win in 5. Whoever they play, it could have been the Heat. Like they're going to win in 5. People still watch. It's still the Denver Nuggets trying to win a title. Like Messi is still one of the world's best. I'm sure people are watching Ronaldo in fucking Saudi Arabia. And who the fuck is he playing? Like he's not playing anywhere.
Dribbling balls through the sand there in the middle of the desert for $400 billion. I mean, you have to respect Messi turning down the Saudi money. That had to be tempting, no?
Look, I'm happy he's here.
And I'm glad that he's doing something and he's given some kind of identity to this league. Let's face it, the league is hanging its hat on the idea that they did this before.
Yes.
Right? I mean, they've had any number of stars, including Beckham, who have come in there, and they thought, okay, well, this is going to put a little bit of importance on this league so that people will pay attention. It's just like Caitlin Clark all of a sudden going to the WNBA. Will you watch a couple of WNBA games next year because she's playing? Possibly.
Oh, they're trying. Have you seen these? They're doing promos all over the place.
Yeah. All right. And if you followed the story while she was in college, you might be curious to see how she does in the pros, although we really don't have the depth of knowledge to understand how much of a difference there is between top-level college women's basketball and what they're doing in the WNBA, except that you have veterans that have been around for a long period of time, and you would imagine that a Diana Taurasi knows every trick in the book. And that may not be the case when Caitlin Clark brings her Iowa team in there to play like BYU. I mean, they may not have somebody like that.
Mayo just gave a great cop. And Johnny's going to definitely hate this one.
Yeah, there you go.
Ellie Chestnut in the school cafeteria sloppy joke contest.
Why are we, Sarney, you look great. You looked happy. And here we are. We're just trashing Sarney.
I love him, but I'm like, I again bought the goddamn league pass thing last year. So don't get me. I was watching the.
Oh, really? You were watching all of it? Wow.
Last year. This year, my father-in-law was like, "Do you still want it?" Because he has Apple Plus, and I'm like, "No, I don't."
I dig the fact he drives himself to wicked cheesesteaks and treats Brian like a regular guy.
Oh yeah,
there's no air of pretension with Messi. He seems like a regular guy. He seems, as we said, I mean, the beauty and all you need to know about soccer in the United States is that Messi can walk around unaccompanied without any kind of security.
Yes,
go into a place just off Commercial Boulevard, and nobody gives a fuck. Nobody bothers him. There are no autograph seekers waiting for him. It's not like it was for him if he was rolling around Argentina somewhere. I mean, if he's in Buenos Aires, do you think that he's able to sit down and have a cup of coffee and, watch his kids play video games? I did notice this. We forgot to ask Brian about that. Did he put that slot machine in just for the entertainment of Messi's kids?
Just to count their money.
Because it is good when a guy can call in an order for like 200 wings and he doesn't even begin to. He says, whatever you want to charge me, that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's good. All right, a bunch of stuff to get into here. And, of course, the professor's going to join us. Now, the Derby's coming up. We gave you our picks yesterday with the Polyman, or Wednesday. Yes. It was great hearing from the Polyman.
Well, the Gergs gave his too, which is cool.
And, the question is, really, I mean, do you have the balls to leave out both favorites if you were going to try to make a score in maybe making my 5-horse box in the trifectas? Can you leave out both Sierra Leone and Fierceness with confidence, any level of confidence? Now, at that point, you're kind of Dusty Springfielding it, aren't you? Wishing and hoping and praying. You're just hoping Fierceness gets fucked at the gate somehow out of the 16 post now, even though he's going to be number 17. And at Sierra Leone, we know that horse is going to get buried along the rail because the horse comes from the clouds in the races that he's been in anyway. So, I mean, holy Seabiscuit, we're going to be looking for this one late. Now, that's the kind of horse that picks up tiring horses in the stretch, even if he's totally out of it. So, if you leave Sierra Leone out of your trifectas, are you committing a serious act of self-sabotage? Because if you get your other horses in there, one of which with the Polyman is a 30-1 morning line item with domestic product. So suppose you get the 8 and the 15. The 8 is Just a Touch, which also was a horse that was touted by one Dave Gurgles Gurgley yesterday.
Yes.
All right. So, I mean, this would be one of the most deflating things that could possibly happen to you. I mean, you're talking about a 10-1 morning line horse and a 30-1 morning line horse. So if you got those two horses in the equation there, whether they ran second and third, first and third, first and second, wouldn't you want to literally, I mean, just gargle with the lauded if you had left out both favorites in your box? Now that's going to cost you having another long shot in there, and the possibility of making an even bigger score. You still have, if you used both favorites in a 5-horse trifecta box. Is this making sense to people, Louie? To make a 5-horse trifecta box, you're basically, you have 5 horses, and if any 3 of them are in the money, first, second, and third, any of the 3, 3 of them have to be in the money. 3
But
of
it
the
costs
5
you money, right? Like to go to that 5th horse.
costs you $60 altogether. $60 to make that bet. $60. So if you're with a partner, it's 30. Definitely worth a shot. I mean, think about it. Even last year when it wasn't chalky, but I guess chalk followed Mage to the line there, second and third, because I want to say that the try only paid 400 and something, and we had it. But you know, in previous years, I remember using Danza in the as in Tony in the third position. That was about $1,800 for a try that should have paid half that. And then, of course, the famous one, 2019, Maximum Security, where the words Steward's Inquiry are seldom favorable to people like us, Louie.
You were going to make money regardless, but you like tripled, you might have quadrupled your money.
Oh, no, that was almost 4 times, the payoff. It was like $3,000 if they left the horse up and $11,000 if they took him down. That was based on some insight, though, from a guy who was on fire that year, Jersey Kyle.
Killed
in 2019. He had the 3-year-old picture as if he was viewing it with complete clairvoyance.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't know that any psychic could have been more on it than Jersey Kyle was that year, especially with Country House, who ends up. And I remember having to wrestle with my friend Piscataway Ray, a real mental wrestling match, because I kept insisting that he throw Country House in, and he was like adamantly opposed to it. And this is a guy, I don't know, if you go partners with some people, when you go partners, yeah, whatever you want, just go ahead, you pick them.
Yeah.
And then there are others that are just going to scrutinize everything that you say. Well, why do you like this horse? It's like, just fucking use them, will you? I'm putting money up too. I got an opinion on this.
Exactly.
But he did everything in his power to talk us out of using that horse. And, of course, it was the giant key to the kingdom there is a key to the mint, the name of an old 3-year-old that was competitive in these Triple Crown races. And we ended up making a nice score there, $11,000. So that was enough to carry us. Think about that. $11,000 is enough to get you through what? If you were betting 60 a year, so you go 10 years for 600.
Yeah, it's like 20
100 years for 6,000. You could have played the Derby for the next 200 years and still been ahead of the game.
You'll be good for Derbies the rest of your life.
Yeah, the rest of your life. You got a lifetime free pass bet in Derbies. You cannot go under. You'll never be in the red if you continue to stick to your theory there. Can I leave them both out? I don't know that I can, but would you leave Fierceness out? I mean, is Fierceness... This horse is either going to be a monster and go out there like he did in the Florida Derby. I don't know that there's like a compromised version of Fierceness. He's won 3 races out of 5, but the other 2, which obviously followed wins, were stinkers by his standards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is this a horse that just typically bounces out of every good performance that he has? He certainly looked like a different animal between the Holy Bull and the Florida Derby. When you watched him come on the track for the Florida Derby, you were like, whoa, who's that? Right? You thought there's no way that this horse was going to lose that day, and sure enough, it was a monster performance under wraps, brilliant time, like a huge Beyer speed number. Can he go to distance here at 1.25 miles at Churchill Downs? Yes, I would think so. I think betting against him does take a certain amount of courage. You know that many people, the degenerates out there, are never going to claim that they bet the favorite in the Derby. But do we have the balls to leave them out of our 5-horse configuration. And if we put both of them in, that leaves us only 3 other choices: the 8, the 15, and who else would be the question?
I don't know. Look, I get it in golf. I mean, wagering in general, but especially in golf and horse racing, like the payouts for the underdogs are so ridiculous, and the payouts for the chalk is so demeaning that it's not worth it to like put money on them to win. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, betting 200 on fierceness to win, even if it goes off at 5-2, you make 700. So you profit 5, but I mean, in a 20-horse field, you really want to take 5-2 on anybody.
That I get. I'm not fighting anyone on that. Like to bet chalk to win in golf with the field so ridiculous, and it's so hard for the chalk to win.
You want to get by Scotty Scheffler every time.
18 horses, or was it 19? It was 20.
20 horses going to
be 19. Didn't one get scratched? It was in like 19.
One scratch, but they put another one in.
Oh, they did. Okay, so 20 horse field. I don't give a shit how good of a favorite is. The field's probably going to win, right? Okay, so I get not putting the money on that horse to win.
Yeah.
But if you're putting money for 5 horses to not put one of the two, you don't want to put both. Fine.
One of them, I think, has to hit the board.
You gotta put one of the two. Like,
but that's a gutless opinion. I mean, I feel dirty. I feel cheap.
Not if you're putting 3 or 4 bombs. Like, how many bombs are there? Like, I know the whole field.
The rest of the field is pretty much bombs.
Yeah, but like, I don't know.
We'll see.
At that point, like,
I don't think I have the balls to do it, which tells you a lot about me. Mr. Nonchalant, Mr. Go ahead and take it one thing at a time. And I don't think I have the guts to leave out both favorites in my trifecta box. And if you're going to use one, do you have to use the other? Because you're hoping only one of them makes it there. If both of them are in the trifecta, then no matter what else comes in with it, it's not necessarily, unless some 60-1 shot wins the race and you have it. That would make a difference. But anyway, a great betting proposition. It gets underway today. Later on, the Mayo man who, wow, what was he eating last night, Mayo? That was incredible.
I don't know. It's fantastic. Look, we've been to a lot of really nice places, and we understand prices vary, but this place was fucking...
Where was this joint, man? And they were charging like $250 for a steak.
It was in Brickell, and I get it.
Oh, Brickell? Okay.
Prices are higher, but, I mean... like a standard cocktail, like this isn't even like, I was with the professor.
Like a vodka and tonic was like,
and he's like, look, is a champagne? Because yes, if you're getting Moet or some other champagne-based cocktail, fine, it could be in the 20s. I mean, just the champagne alone is ridiculous, fine. But these were like regular cocktails, were like 22, 20, like, come on, it's a fucking old fashioned. Like like they were standard cocktails that should be anywhere from $10 to $14, and they were like 24. It's like, okay. Whatever.
It's like ski mask and a gun time for the bartender. No?
And look, I get it. Anything with caviar is going to be expensive. Fine. When you hear the word truffles, it's expensive. Fine. But it was a chicken and truffle dish that was $140. Like
for a chicken dish? Get out of here.
Like get the fuck out of here. And then, tomahawk. Look, I know tomahawk steaks another thing. Tomahawk, and look, Mayo didn't pay, so good for him. Tomahawk steaks in the hundreds, 140.
What, you think you really needed to clarify that?
But it was $230 for a steak. It didn't even do the gold bullshit. At least give me the fucking suitcase with gold if you're gonna.
That was a steak for one, right? We're not talking Chateaubriand.
No, it's tomahawks. No, tomahawks are like, it was 32 ounces. It's like 2 for 2 people, but
that's the thing. You get a plaque if you eat it at Shula's. Remember back in the day?
30. I mean, Ken's on, so I'll bring Ken on.
All right.
But he's still on this restaurant, huh?
Well, we just brought it up right now, actually.
This Brickell restaurant. Have you thought about
it? He was going for this last night for like a half. Like this, and Lubie's very upset.
You can't believe that Mayo on a freebie would have gotten ripped off had he paid the check.
I'm not mad at Mayo. I just think it's ridiculous to pay money.
Well, first of all, a 32-ounce tomahawk is definitely for one. Like, what's your?
Oh, that's for one.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's for one for me.
Oh,
I mean, not. I mean, and think about who wants gold on there. Like, what kind of jerk off?
What is the goal for a steak? Do we know?
What?
Does the gold do anything to enhance the flavor of the steak?
No. It makes it showier in the restaurant. So if you're some jerk off who feels the need to show off for other customers, everybody's like, "Ooh, he's got gold."
Oh, you got that, yeah.
Steak.
Just like the seafood
stack. He's
stack.
to eat some gold.
Yes.
Like, okay, yeah, no. I don't know what Lubie did, but like Lubie, you'd think Lubie was paying the bill from the way he.
Oh no, I know, and
it offends him now that he's become a restaurant guy.
I will say I agree with the like For $140 for a plate of truffle chicken, how many goddamn truffles are they putting on that chicken?
That should come with a vacation in France. you should be able to. Well, who is that crazy doctor with the melons on the Cindy Crawford ad? Dr. Savant. You should be able to personally get a tour of his garden.
He should
fucking
jam a
truffles
melon
on
in
chicken.
your face just like he does with
Exactly. Yeah.
Take a cantaloupe and smash it in your face.
How come you can't get rid of the mold? I mean, come on, Doc. Yeah, that was kind of prime. But I mean, there are restaurants like that around where
for
it's
sure,
just ridiculous pricing.
If you're some jerk off who just wants to throw away money and show off doing it, there are plenty of places that I personally, if it's still open, I read somewhere it might close. The Salt Bay guy, if the one in Miami is still open. If not, he's got all sorts of places nationally. Seems to specialize on being like, if you want to pay, 5 times markup on a bottle of wine and get gold on your steak and blow like 10 grand on dinner, and you maybe know a chick who is impressed by that kind of thing. It seems to specialize in exactly that sort of experience. It's for people who want dinner to be an experience.
Yeah.
It's an experience, all right. I mean, you could go.
You know me, guys. I love to cook. I am all about dinner being an experience.
Yes.
But the experience should be about the food.
Exactly.
The experience shouldn't be some jerk off bouncing salt off his elbow and onto your fucking steak. That shouldn't be the experience. You know me, again, and Mayo can speak to people.
Mayo's in a different category. Yeah.
He didn't pay. He didn't pay. That's
no, look.
Had he paid, we would have had a question.
As a restaurateur, there are some people who are so into the service that you could slap them down a plate of Hormel chili, but if you kiss their ass enough during the process, they're going to walk like 5 stars. This is the best place I've ever been. The beanie weenies are an experience.
Yeah. Got a can of Hormel hot dogs.
There are other people who are into like the vibe and the ambiance of the place. Again, I'm not one of them. But among friends of ours, Frankie from Ocean Center, every place he has, Lubie and I were talking about it, has a vibe.
Yes.
And again, it may be your scene, it may not be your scene personally, but it's part of the experience, the vibe. So it all goes in, and it's all for just different customers. And yes, there are some customers, usually, if I'm going to be honest in this case, the same jerk-offs who want to take out their cell phone and shoot Instagram shots of their food for 45 minutes so it's stone cold before they eat it, who want the other stuff to be their experience in the restaurant. They do want Salt Bay coming out in a dark-ass room in his sunglasses and bouncing salt off his elbow. They want to eat gold and do crap like that. And they want to overpay for it, or they're willing to overpay for it. And that's 100% cool if that's the crowd you're creating. There are other people who really don't give a damn if the food is garbage as long as the drinks are good. And then there are people like me who it's all about the food. Like I can be, well, look, you know me, when it was around the corner and then it was on Commotion Boulevard, Blue Willie's Barbecue, which literally got shut down by the health department like 4 different times. I love the food, so I was there all the time. So like whatever it is you're into, that's cool in the restaurant scene. And it may not be for, for somebody like Lubie who doesn't really care about, a giant pile of truffles or, a tomahawk steak or caviar. He may not be into that. So again, whatever you're into, that's cool. You can find a place that will service you. And if you're not into it, don't go. I mean, it's pretty freaking simple. I'll be honest, I'm not paying $140 for chicken and truffles. Like, I don't like truffles that much. I don't dislike truffles, but I'm not that into them. I do. Lubie was bitching about the caviar price. It's like, it's caviar. I like caviar.
No, I get that one. Yeah.
Nobody other than Bill Gates can afford to eat it 5 times a week. But the times I've had caviar, I like caviar.
Although we had a caviar pie at the Cafe Max, and it was very reasonable by comparison to the prices here, even though Cafe Max is a little pricey.
Max isn't cheap, but who doesn't love Cafe Max? The salmon pizza, which is not necessarily something I would be that into, but fantastic.
Oh, no, yeah, tuna pizza. Yeah, that's
tuna pizza. Yeah,
absolutely great.
Salmon, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Look, doing the shows.
I think salmon is the Wolfgang Puck one. Now that I think about it.
No, I'm with you 1,000. I don't like getting completely robbed. I mean, that's ridiculous when you're paying those kind of prices, unless you're on a comp. Which,
Well, again, we just the name I just mentioned, Wolfgang Puck, is a dude who specialized, and really, when you look at Wolfgang Puck's places, it's basically German/Austrian comfort food. Like it's stuff you would get like in a German grandmother's house, but it's served by professional models in like all his places. So if that's what you're there for and digging it, you want to be in with the in crowd, so to speak. Cool. I mean, I'm a beer and barbecue kind of guy, so my tastes might run a little different, and that's all right.
Any handicapping going on with the professor over the weekend? Anything that we can look to? I know you've been dabbling in a little bit of NBA, which is not necessarily your game, but I would imagine that you're having some success with that. As some of these games have been predictable.
When once again the luckiest team in the history of lucky teams, the New York Knicks, go crazy because some bum, in this case, White Dante DiVincenzo. Honestly, this is the luckiest freaking team I've seen. Some dude who can't play at all goes off every other night.
Yes.
It's insane. And, of course, highlighted once again by Josh Hart hitting another key three-pointer, something he has never done, including at Villanova, which is why Villanova got bounced in the 16th when he led the team. So a little frustrated by the New York Knicks. But overall, been okay. Looking at tonight, Orlando and Cleveland. Orlando laying 3.5. Really go on that one. I'd say it's a coin flip. Dallas and the Mavericks. Dallas and the Clippers. I believe Kawhi Leonard. Yes, he is now officially out for this game. Dallas laying 7.5. I think you'd probably be good to eat a little chalk on that one. I feel like the Clippers kind of got their back broken a little bit last night. So if I were going for something tonight, probably be okay. Laying the 7 hook with Dallas. They're pretty solid at home, and they look like Luka has kind of figured out what LA is trying to do to him defensively at this point.
Are you betting any pucks?
No, not my game.
He doesn't do
no
that.
pucks.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not Canadian, dude. Like,
I'm not Canadian.
Yeah, big action tonight, man. Predators going against the Canucks. You got the Stars in Vegas.
You got to do that and do it right and have a Labatt and eat some moose while you watch the hockey game.
I think the number of people that actually line up outside the arena, especially Toronto, I mean, and I would imagine it'll be just
Canadians love ice
gigantic
soccer.
crowd. Yeah,
ice soccer.
Well, you have to be happy though with Toronto. If you're ever going to be a fan of a Canadian team, you have to be rooting like a madman for Toronto to beat Boston. Which
not really.
That would really send. All of Beantown would be just absolutely crushed.
The Celtics got through. I'm sure they're happy. I don't really care what happens with that.
Yeah, all right.
Like you said, I'm not.
All right, sounds good.
Canadian.
All right.
I mean, look, you guys get that on the metric system or whatever the hell it is you do while listening to some Bryan Adams. I don't want anything to do with your culture. Like, all the Trump people in the MAG is worried about the southern border. I'm worried about the northern border. I don't want hockey people coming down and invading the USA. If we're going to build a fence, I think we need to build it around Canada first.
Around Canada.
Like, I don't know. I mean,
you'll find some agreement, especially in South Florida, on that.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing worthwhile. The sport's terrible. The food is terrible. I mean, like, everybody talks up Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons is really just Dunkin' Donuts with a Canadian name. I don't buy into it at all. Anyway, and then Saturday night we got the Nuggets 4.5 over the T-Wolves. I like the Nuggets to start the series off at home right there. Feel like Murray has gotten into playoff Jamal Murray mode again. And even though the T-Wolves do have a lot of size, I think that they will have problems with Jokic. I think Gobert is actually better defending the smalls who come in the lane and intimidating their shot. I don't think Jokic is going to have any problem fighting him up in that matchup.
All right, let's get to the big board. Always the big piece of the agenda here on a Friday, a Degenerate Friday, the professor and the big board. What do you have in store for us this week?
Well, Deep, something near and dear to our hearts. And I've been realizing something lately, and there's one particular development that we will discuss a little bit later. And on the overall, I've been sort of rethinking and reanalyzing things and taking a close look. And I got to say, the recreation, the hobby, the degeneracy that you've been into your entire life, that I'm into, Lubie's into, that we're all, it's kind of becoming, for the herbs. It's getting pretty freaking lame.
Lames.
If we're being honest. We're being invaded by the dorks and the herbs. And that's what we're going to discuss today, the big board of why gambling is kind of starting to suck.
Man, let's get right to it, man. This ought to be interesting.
Number 5, again, I'm not trying to tell the kids what they do. You do you. You want to go to a restaurant, eat a $400 steak that Salt Bay has masturbated at the table for you. You do you. You want to be Defo and bet a 5-team parlay instead of just, betting straight. You do you. I'm not trying to hate on anybody. You want to be, that guy who puts $900 into the pick 3 to cash a $950 ticket.
Yes.
Do whatever you want.
Right.
But there is a trend with the sports, and that is there is nobody more annoying on fucking earth than the guy who won't shut the fuck up about his fantasy football team. I actually fought with, back in the Defo radio days, my co-hosts about this, because PC and CJ, God love them, they're two of my best friends in the world, but they never wanted to shut the fuck up on a Monday about how so-and-so only had 138 yards when he needed 140 for the 6-point bonus in his fantasy league. And why couldn't the Detroit Lions throw it one more time to Megatron? Blah, blah, blah. There's nothing worse than me telling. And now everybody wants to bet on fantasy freaking sports. It's not, people don't bet sides, they don't bet totals. They want to bet on if Puka Nakua is going to go under or over 114 yards.
Yes.
They want to bet on will Raheem Mostert score a touchdown. And not only that, they want to put together like an 18 parlay. And then they want me to listen about their concerns in the Monday night game, which isn't, is San Francisco or Baltimore when it's is Christian McCaffrey going to go over or under 5.5 points or 5.5 catches? Who the hell cares? That's what this sport this has become. I listen to dudes pick. I'm talking about like national radio dudes pick games. They're not even picking a side. They're not even picking a total. They're picking over under assists for Nikola Jokic tonight.
9.5, I think, is the number.
It's so freaking annoying. And it is so taking over. Not only are parlay nerds taking over, but it's fantasy football.
Yep.
Parlay nerds.
Yes.
Completely taking over the entire industry. We're going to wake up some Sunday, and there's going to be a new pro line. It's going to be 5 dudes with pocket protectors talking about yardage totals for white running backs.
You're onto that one, man. That's only number 5, so this thing's starting out hot.
It is the worst, and it is now totally dominating the industry. That's why, honestly, the 2 biggest names in the industry, FanDuel and DraftKings, they started out as freaking fantasy football sites.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's so lame. I'm sorry. Where's Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro when you did? No. Instead, we got dorks with spreadsheets breaking down yardage totals for backup tight ends. Makes me want to blow my brains out. So lame.
I'm with you, yeah. It's a disgusting trend.
Number 4, at Defo, you and I were out there, like 15 years ago on this very weekend for the Kentucky Derby. But let's be honest, the Strip, pretty freaking lame at this point.
Wow.
Like the days of De Niro and Pesci, and it was all about the tables, and even the slot players were sort of looked down upon, like, right?
Yes.
Nowadays, it is run by freaking Disney, and the little bit of consideration that's out there is slot machine guys or these automatic machines, which down here, I played them when you couldn't get real tables. You got, the stupid machines. But when you have real tables, who the hell wants to do that? Who the hell wants that? That's the only people who get consideration anymore are these doofuses that are actually willing to go in and fire $20 a spin at a fucking slot machine.
It's nuts, yeah. Well, I mean,
if you live off because of the Mustang, you live off these.
Look at the considerations we're given. I mean, based on slot play.
Exactly. You go in and play $100 hand of blackjack. Now they look at you like you're an asshole.
Yeah.
But some jerk off playing video poker. Let's fly you to Vegas for a free weekend. And honestly, the new big thing, the thing every day. The Sphere is for lames. The Sphere is for freaking herbs. It's a fucking TV set you hold concerts in. Who the fuck cares? It's Vegas, and during the Super Bowl and the Final Four, they're not even showing games on the freaking Sphere because they don't have the licenses to show games. You built a gigantic TV screen and you can't show games on it in Las Vegas. What the hell is that?
It's all downhill. Yeah, you're right.
It's James Dolan's fucking jazz band opening up for the Grateful Dead tribute band. That's what the fucking Sphere is.
Strip.
And
not what it used to be.
Now,
It's not what it was.
Now, it's not even a gambling town. It's a restaurant town.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That makes for a fun vacation. I want to go to 4 fucking Gordon Ramsay. I like Gordon Ramsay, but I don't give a shit about his fish and chips place when I'm in Vegas.
Who's the Arthur Treacher all of a sudden? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, that's number 4. The Strip.
I like Jose Andres. I love Jose Andres. Do I give a shit his new place and whatever? No, not when I'm in Vegas. It's
Fucking
supposed
Vegas.
to be for Vegas. Again, supposed to be De Niro screaming at the catering guy about the number of blueberries in the muffin that's going for free to the tables. It's not supposed to be a chef town with a giant TV screen that they show fucking content. It's not supposed to be Lubie's mom wanting to go see J-Lo.
Exactly.
All right, number 4, Strip is drying up.
Getting lame. It really is. And that takes us to number 3. And you're going to feel this one, Defo. As a longtime broadcaster, as a man who grew up on Proline, as a man who, like me, grew up looking at the Man in Black, Jim Fikes, trying to dress like Johnny Cash while giving up Canadian football winners. And that is, it's now completely dominated by fucking Instagram models.
It's unbelievable.
Every sport, every show. And look, I got nothing against hot chicks. We all love hot chicks. But you turn on the gambling show, look at these girls. Look at the amount of time that has to be spent in hair and makeup. Look at the amount of time that has to be devoted to cosmetic surgery. And you're telling me this is who you want breaking down your games for you?
There you go.
This is who you think knows the winners because they've been studying the tape so hard? And honestly, they all do the same pictures on Instagram. It's them by the pool in a bikini with like shit written out on notepads, pretending they're doing their studying again while they're tanning and looking like this. And again, got nothing against looking like this. But I don't want, honestly, I'm involved in this because I want to forget that socially women who look like this will not talk to me. Like, I don't want your presence around anywhere around gambling. I want you nowhere in the background of gambling because you're too freaking distracting. Look at you.
Rarely, too, have I been online in any sports book or especially at the racetrack, and there's been anything that looks like that anywhere in front or behind me.
Never.
You ever been in a sports book and seen like a blonde who's a 9 or a 10 just wandering around?
It's some old bag with lipstick smeared under her nose, asking if she can bum a cigarette.
Game? No. You don't see girls like this in the stands at Big Ten games. Pretty much only the SEC. Like nowhere near any sports gambling venue. Very few sports venues, period. You see women looking like this. But now anytime you turn in a sports show, it's a goddamn Sports Illustrated bikini model.
Incredible.
Or more attractive than one of them, hosting the show and breaking down games.
Oh, breaking down, yeah.
Trying to tell you who's going to cover the Slippery Rock game.
Suggesting you buy a half a point,
Let me
Stony Brook game.
Yeah, let me tell you about the Louisiana Monroe versus FAU football game.
Sure, this woman's going to spend her Saturday looking in on that. Yeah. All right, that's number 3, and very true. I mean, couldn't be any more of a vivid example of what's going on with gambling than.
And number 2, even more than the Instagram models who are now just dominating every source of information, we get the celebrity endorsements, right?
Yeah.
We get maybe Fox, who, for all I know, from what I've read on the internet, has actually spent like the last 2 years in the hospital more than our friend Andy, who we saw last night. And congrats.
Oh, yeah, he was out. They sprung him.
Yeah, from what I read, Jamie Foxx is there more than Andy, but he wants to be on TV telling you to bet the Lakers on MGM Grand.
Yes.
Kevin freaking Hart. What do I need? Kevin Hart, you make movies all day long. I can't go 5 seconds without seeing a Kevin Hart movie show up on TV, but I'm going to take your fucking advice on the NFL game. because you've got the time for that. So it's celebrity endorsements is number 2. And that takes us, of course, to one particular celebrity endorsement.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Really, you wanted to get me off to a bad start with these fucking betting apps. Here's how you do it. Come out of the box with WinBet featuring Ben Affleck to tell you.
He probably is a degenerate, though.
Wasn't he involved in actual poker activity of a high-end variety?
Does he look like he was happy with the result?
No.
Does he ever look? This is the thing about Ben Affleck, right? Who's got a better fucking life than Ben Affleck? Totally untalented, has nonetheless won like 2 Oscars beside it. Like, I can't imagine how much dudes freak out when they've like dedicated their whole life to being a serious craftsman. They walk in and they have to see 2 fucking Oscars on Ben Affleck. Right? Totally untalented. Surrounded by hot chicks, but always fucks it up. Like,
always 100%. With a less hot chick, it's always someone who's less attractive.
No, like he's bounced back to J-Lo. I'm
talking about the maid or the nanny was not as good as Garner.
Right? Has the world by his ear, but always has a look on his face like this. Always has a look on his face. Like he just ate a pile of shit. Like, is this a man you want to take your gambling advice? Is this a guy who looks like he's happy with the result?
He does look like he just found out he was broke.
Right?
He just lost it all on a game.
He looks like he just bet on the Bruins to win the series against the Panthers.
I'm sure he's right there with Portnoy on that. Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, it is odd that all of these people all of a sudden are degenerate gamblers, including the Manning family.
And then let's go honestly, because I'm going to be honest. Portnoy is another one, and it goes all the way back to the Floyd Mayweather endorsements. Like a lot of this seems like a freaking scam. Let's be honest. These people who always post their bets on Twitter and Instagram never fucking lose.
Never.
Always betting outrageous amounts of money. Usually posting tickets from a company they're affiliated either in ownership or an endorsement.
Yep.
Kind of seems like maybe, and I'm not trying to call Portnoy out because I know he gets super responsive about even the most minor slights on the internet. I'm not calling him out in particular. I'm not calling anybody out in particular. Let's just say, and we have a guy in town, another one. It seems a little suspicious. Like, yeah, it seems like you're all working the Floyd Mayweather angle in 2024. That's all I'm saying.
Excellent. All right, that's number 2. Sorry.
And that takes us to number 1, and this is really what inspired this particular big board. I'm watching a certain news story earlier this week, and a thought flashes into my head from my youth, right? I want you to think back, one of the classic movies ever made.
There it is.
This is what gambling used to look like.
Yes.
It was
cool. Yeah,
The Hustler. It's a young Paul Newman facing off against Jackie Gleason. Minnesota Fats shooting pool in the pool hall, right? Even though Paul Newman is a stone cold loser in this movie, it's a cool. You want to be Paul Newman. It's cool. What gambling has become? Assholes betting on skee-ball and fucking Dave and Buster's. In The Hustler, Paul Newman, it's JTS Brown, no glass, no ice, right? Even though it's a garbage bourbon that you wouldn't want a bum to drink in front of you just from the smell, it sounded cool, right? JTS Brown, no glass, no ice. What do you get now? Get some 14-year-old Dave Buster's at the air hockey table. Get me a banana Slurpee and some mozzarella sticks. Can you imagine George C. Scott hanging out as a backer, hanging out by the freaking Papa Shot machine with a 12-year-old? You'd call the police, not for gambling concerns, but because you were afraid he was a paid pedo.
Exactly.
There is no bigger sign that gambling has gone to the herbs than this Dave and Buster's is now going to have legalized gambling on skee-ball stores.
How come the ball always bounces out of the 50 and into the 10? What is that all about?
How do you get worse than you're legalizing gambling on freaking air hockey and Papa Shot?
That's great, man.
There's no bigger. I mean, it was bad enough when all these dorks who play poker and again, with their dressed like the Unabomber outfits in the middle of the casino, the sunglasses and the hoodies, like zipping up their things so they look like they're inside of a igloo after they pushed it all in. Okay, whatever. I mean, that's kind of lame to me, but you do you. But, I mean, come on. We've gone from that to literally Dave & Buster's taking $5 bets on their card in skee ball so that if you have a really hot night of betting, you can afford the pencil eraser for $2,500.
How about that thing you stick your two fingers in that you can't pull them out? Chinese handcuffs, I think they were called.
I'm pretty sure they're still trying to give away that boombox that's got a TV in the middle of it for $150,000 worth of tickets there.
Yeah, I mean, you needed like 5,000 coupons too to get something that would have cost you 98 cents at south of the border.
No, you go in the dollar store and get all of that stuff.
And $600
for like $8.
Or like a rubber rat. Yeah. Unless you're going to a Panther game, it's useless.
The ultimate start at the recreation, the hobby, whatever you want to call it, is kind of going to the herbs at this point, and it doesn't make me feel good.
No.
It's just the way of the world. The herbs take over everything at some point, and that's unfortunately what has happened.
Yeah, and they're going to bury everybody in the process. I mean, this is part of a
100%.
Russian conspiracy. There's no doubt about it. FanDuel and DraftKings and all of this
and
new wave
Buster's.
of gambling.
This is actually my question with the Dave & Buster's story, right? What is the Mexican cartel, who has clearly been funding Dave & Buster's for the last 25 years, going to think about this gambling thing instead of drugs? Because once you've lost all your money playing Pop-A-Shot against some 14-year-old, you don't got any money left over for the Mets. Like, you're going to say cartel people? The only thing that explains that Dave & Buster's still exists 30 years later is Mexican drug love. Jason Bateman's back there counting the cash. Have you been to a Dave & Buster's? You're like the size of a basketball arena, full of skee ball machines and air hockey. You tell me mozzarella sticks and air hockey sell that well?
Bar shuffleboard, that was always big.
For 30 years off of that, I'm not buying it.
No, you need a big bankroll, to go there too. All right, Professor, excellent job as always. Enlightening stuff. The world of gambling going to the crapper. And quicker than we would care to think. Although,
look, it only took like a year and a half to go from the apps being open to go to Dave & Buster's and bet on air hockey.
And he's good at Pop-A-Shot.
Again, it's just not cool. Maybe you know, Defo, because I don't. 25 years ago, I knew where to find like 5 pool halls in my reasonable area.
Yes.
Do you know where their pool hall is anymore? Because the only pool tables I know are at bars that are not.
I did see one recently.
They're in like get stabbed dive.
When I went out to Davie to that cowboy place, what's it called?
Roundup.
Roundup. There's a pool place right next door, and they had. It was pretty spectacular. I got to say, they had a ton of tables. Yeah, and it was very popular. People were in there having a good time. All right, Professor, we got to run. Always a pleasure. Will you be making an appearance at the stream to make
Probably
any wagers?
Not today. Maybe tomorrow. Run out there for a quick on the Derby.
All right, sounds good. All right, thanks for being with us. Always a pleasure, my friend.
You have a good one.
The Professor, ladies and gentlemen. That was great. Yeah, he's right. Gambling going to the toilet, Lubie, if you look at it that way.
He's not wrong. Like, think about like the movies you love. Like, so James Caan is going to be threatening his life over Pop-A-Shot.
Imagine that. You take on some 9-year-old in skee ball.
Like you have the guys, you had the ringers in the pool, whatever, the guys that would like pretend like they suck and then pull. So you're doing that over like air hockey.
you can have great touch, great aim, good hand-eye coordination, and still suck at skee ball. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh no, skee ball is annoying.
Skee ball, they definitely have a lid on the 50.
Yes.
Never goes in there, right? It always rims out and then bonks into the 0 part. And then the next thing you know, you're down to 1 ball and you got 90 points on the board.
Exactly.
We have to run. No, we'll be out at the track later on. 10 Palms. That gets underway 1 o'clock. And it's you got the Kentucky Oaks going today. It's always great the Friday before a big stakes day. Right. And then I would imagine Derby celebrations and considerations will be very much to the point where you can't help but have a good time at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. So that's something to look forward to. We'll talk about that. And we will see you then again on Monday, right here with the next edition of the Defo Show. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll figure out where this other show is sometime. I should have that information by the end of this day. That's I'm looking forward to that. Although I think I wanted to mention the young gentleman that I'm working with, Angel Martinez, he's got scheduled today. This ought to put us over the top. A member of the Orlando Predators talking about their big opening coming up on Saturday against a team to be named later. Because they're not sure if the team from West Texas is going to show up. All right. We will see you guys. Lubie, you have a good time. I'll see you out at the track later on today. Tony Segreto will be on board for that one, man. Tony, does he have the same salad with the tuna again?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll look forward to that. And we'll see you later on. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It is kind of like you felt like you paid for that check, Lubie. It's 9:02.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my